What's up YouTube? This is Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I'm going to show you how to fix your refrigerator that won't cool down. Now this is an old top freezer refrigerator. It's an old Whirlpool model here, and I suspect the evaporator fan motor has gone bad. What that does is that actually blows the air across the evaporator coils up here in the freezer down into the refrigerator cabinet, but I don't think that it's working because the freezer is still cold or frozen and the refrigerator is not cooling down at all. If you've got this problem, this might be the first thing I would check, is double check this motor. So I'm going to show you how to test the evaporator fan motor and how to replace it. Just so you can see, that's the old model number here, the ET18PK. Now the first thing you need to do is unplug the fridge. I've got it unplugged already. Make sure you do this. You run the risk of getting shocked if you don't. So let's go ahead and open up the freezer compartment here. Of course, you'll need to empty out everything that's up here. The next thing we can do is take out this shelf. So you just lift the front and pull it out of the back there, and we'll take that shelf out and set it aside. Now you can see that this did have an ice maker at one point. I even had an old YouTube video on how to change that. There's no water line, so I took out the ice maker for additional space. If you do have an ice maker, of course, you'll just have to pull that out first. Just undo these 3 screws that hold it in, and there will be an electrical connector. I've got it tucked back in there, out of the way for right now. But if you need to take out the ice maker, it's super easy. You can even refer to my old video. It kind of shows how to do that. Now, after you take out the shelf, these parts will just lift off. You can see their little channels here, just like that. Just take all of them off. Just pull up. And we'll set those in a safe place. So now we need to take off the evaporator cover, and you can see that there are just these 2 screws up at the top. Now you can see there's one screw up here that it's just this little cover, and we'll take that one out first. And then we've got these other 2 screws up here. We'll set those screws aside. Now this little cover is just like a little plastic plate. Little hook right there, so that just pulls off, and set that aside. Now there's a little metal clip. We could just, with our finger, just pull that off of this little metal tab in the back. It's basically this cover is grounded. You see it right there. Leave the wires tucked in there. You want to be careful when you pull this down. This is sharp. This whole back panel, this upper edge, is pretty sharp metal, so just be careful. You may even want to wear gloves. But as you pull it out, just pull it past the little screw there, and then you can see I'm just kind of pulling it out and lifting it as I go, and we can move that cover. Okay, so here is your evaporator coil down here, and this is the motor that we suspect is bad or is not working. You can see this is that little the ice maker connector that I was talking about, which it's not being used, so I just have it just sitting in there. I'm going to try to test this and verify that we are getting power right here to the motor. Use a little screwdriver and just kind of wedge it in through here to try to undo this clip. We should have power right here at these bottom 2 female ends. I'm just going to use my voltmeter and turn it to AC volts. I'm going to put the probes in here and just kind of wedge them in there like that. And I'm just going to go plug the fridge back in. So you can see we've got power to the connector here, to this harness, and what I'm going to do is unplug it again, take out the probes here and plug it back in and see if that fan comes on. If not, we'll know that the fan is bad and needs to be replaced. I've got the fridge unplugged. I guess I could have done this part first, but I just wanted to make sure we were getting power to the fan. We think this fan is bad. Let's go see if it works if I plug the fridge back in. The fridge is plugged back in. Motor, can't even get it started here. So we know our motor is bad. I'm going to unplug it again and show you how to swap that out. Pull this connector again. It kind of locks in place with these little plastic tabs. You kind of just got to pry it out enough to pull it loose. This fan is screwed into the back of this little plastic housing, and there are 4 1/4-inch bolts in here. Just Just be careful that you don't drop them behind the evaporator coil. And then this whole piece will this will all come out together. Okay, so here's our little housing, and you can see it's just got these two little 1/4-inch screws. And the old fan and everything comes off. Now, our new fan that we got does not come with the wiring harness, so we will be reusing this. And this one's kind of obvious. The small one here is our green cable or ground, and then we've got a white and a red. Our terminals are not exact here. You can see I've got the small ground terminal is up here at the top, so we'll just plug that in, and then the white and red. This replacement fan is slightly different. This just presses on. It's got some holes in there for bracketry or a little thing that might sit on the shaft, but I'm just pressing it on, and that looks like it's going to work just fine. I'll let you know if I have any issues with it, but these little rubber grommets I'm going to reuse, even though the replacement came with some. They just didn't fit right or look right. So just put those on and then press the unit back onto these little plastic studs here. You can see also our wiring harness just has this little cutout right here. And we'll just put these screws back in. Okay, and that's ready to go back in. And then we can just put the evaporator fan with this plastic housing back in place. Just like to make sure that that fan spins freely without hitting anything. Then we can reconnect this harness right here. Before I put the cover on, I'm going to go ahead and plug it back in and verify that our fan is working. And there you go. I'm going to go ahead and unplug the fridge again so I can put the cover back on and wrap everything up. Okay, so we'll just carefully put that cover back in place. Watch out for these screws on the side here for the ice maker, and also be careful or be mindful of the mounts for the rack. Kind of have to bow that in just a little bit to get it to drop in place. Now remember, we've got this little ground connector that needs to clip back onto this metal panel. That might have been easier before pushing it back in here, but there we go. There's just these two screws. We'll get those started. And we're going to put our cover back on here. I think I still have the modular ice maker that goes in here. I took it out, like I said, a few years ago when I moved this out to the garage, and just thought it would make more sense to have some additional space there since we weren't using it for ice. We can put our shelf clips back in. These ones are unique. Just they've got this little hook. Make sure that that part is facing to the back. And then these front pieces, again, they just clip into place like so. And then the rack, just line it up and drop it in place. And then just go ahead and plug it back in and fill it up with food, and you're good to go. Hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I'll get a link in the description where you can pick up this same replacement motor as well. Also, I'll put a link to my storefront on Amazon where you can buy some of the parts and tools that I use frequently in some of my videos. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.